She died last Thursday when I hesitated, when I pulled back for one heartbeat when she needed me. I let her fall into the hollow. She was my wife, my love. I know that now. I teach at a university. I'm 43. I'm supposed to be the kind of man who can explain himself. Right now, I can barely close my eyes without thinking of her, seeing images of her. I deserve this. I know I do. I can dress it up however I want, but in the end, I'm just an idiot asshole who had excuses. I was living between two women, my wife, Sila, and Hale. I love them both. That's why it doesn't settle, why it keeps pressing in on me from the inside. Sila was my wife for 11 years. She worked in research at a drug company I won't name, out past the city, big salary, perfect setup. One of those gray glass places with gates and badges and people who never really say what they do. She was senior there, the kind of smart that made other smart people straighten up when she walked in. But she wasn't distant from the research itself. She went deep into it, into the compounds, the trials, the smallest details. She needed to see things herself, not through reports or through other people. I used to love that about her. She was beautiful too, not just to me. Tall and slight, dark hair, pale skin, black eyes that lingered on you in a way that stirred something low and hard to ignore. The kind of face that made people turn without realizing it. Even when she was tired, even when she was angry, she had that kind of beauty. The problem was that living with her felt like living next to a wire that was always live. At first, it was kind of cute, even exciting, but over the years that faded. She noticed everything. If I came home 3 minutes late, if I showered before dinner on the wrong day, if my shirt smelled like coffee from a place I didn't usually go. Over time, I began to feel like I was suffocating in it, like the air was slowly being pulled out of our lives. It felt cold. It felt lonely. She never yelled. Sometimes I wished she had. It would have been easier to fight something loud. Instead, she would just look at me for 1 second too long, or ask one small question in that calm, even voice, and I'd feel my stomach drop. Ice bitch. I used to call her when we fought and I lost it, when I wanted to hurt her back for the way I felt trapped with her even though staying was my choice. It always made her livid, but not in a loud way. It was something colder than anger, like an inner kind of crying that never made it to the surface. Once, during one of our usual fights, she looked at me and said quietly, "You're the one with the crack in your heart." Behind it, there's just emptiness, an endless, swallowing hole no woman is ever going to fill. After a while, we'd patch things up, say just enough to keep going, and slip right back into the same cold distance that our marriage had become. At least we didn't have kids to drag through it. Her mother killed herself after Sila's father had an affair. She told me that before we got married, we were sitting in her car outside my place, engine off, the windows fogged, the quiet ticking of it cooling down. The street was empty. She had both hands folded in her lap, looking straight ahead, not at me. She didn't cry, of course. Some people don't survive betrayal, she said. Then she looked at me and added, and they kill families. I never forgot that, but I loved her. I need that said. I loved the smell of her hair when she came to bed late. I loved the rare way she smiled, like it had to fight through stone to get out. I loved how, on good mornings, she'd tuck her cold feet under my leg and steal my heat without asking. I loved the softness of her body, the way her skin gave under my hands, and how I could feel the quiet outline of her bones beneath it. I loved her even when I was scared of her, and I was scared of her a lot by the end. It felt like living under a constant gray sky, something heavy pressing down on me day after day, wearing me down, draining whatever was left of my will to live, like the walls were slowly closing in. Then there was Hale. Hale was 28, a graduate student of one of my colleagues, not a child, but young enough that I hated myself the first time I wanted her. She wasn't in my classes, thank God, but close enough to my world that it made everything worse. If Sila ever found out I was sleeping with a graduate student, it wouldn't just wreck my marriage. It could wreck my job, my name, my whole life. Hayel was nothing like Sila. Sila was all angles and stillness. Hayel was soft where Sila was hard. Honey-colored skin, thick blonde curls she kept tying up and letting down again, wide mouth, warm blue eyes, small golden earrings that hung like something old. She laughed with her whole face. When she listened, she leaned in, close, her breath brushing me, and there was something unusual in the way it smelled, something I couldn't explain, but it pulled me in. She was a cloud of warmth and sun. Scylla made me feel examined. Hale made me feel wanted, desired. And yes, I wanted her. I wanted her badly. The first time she touched my wrist in a cafe and asked if I was okay, I felt that touch the rest of the day. It wasn't just sex, though God knows there was that too. It was the feeling of my body unclenching around her. With Hale, I could breathe. I could say stupid things. I could be tired. I could sit in silence and not feel judged. That's how it started. Then it turned into something real, a fucking affair. I always thought I wasn't that kind of asshole. Turns out I was. And the worst part is, she made me happy in a way I hadn't been in a long time. 3 months. 3 months of deleting messages in parking lots. 3 months of checking my collar and mirrors before I went home, erasing Kate Bush and the Weeknd songs from my playlist. Little traces she left behind without even meaning to. 3 months of coming back to my own house with my pulse hammering, wondering if tonight was the night Scylla would look at me and know. She almost caught me more than once. A blonde hair would have been too easy. Scylla had dark curls like spilled ink. I got careful about everything, brushing off my clothes, checking myself before I walked back in the door. Instead, it was smaller things that almost gave it away. Orange hand cream on my skin. A motel receipt I forgot in the inside pocket of my coat. One night, my phone lit up on the table, and Scylla glanced at it before I could turn it over. She didn't say anything for a full minute. Then she asked, "Do your students usually text you after midnight?" I said Hill wasn't my student. I don't know why I said that. Maybe because some part of me was already confessing. Scylla just looked at me. "That wasn't my question," she said. "I was a shitty husband not just because I lied and dodged questions. The truth is, the marriage had gotten so heavy on me that I stopped really seeing what mattered, or I saw it and didn't act." A little before I met Hale, Scylla had already started looking unwell. I asked once, maybe twice, if she was okay. She brushed it off, said she'd see one of the doctors they have at their facility, said it was nothing, just this new drug at work, long hours, pressure, everyone running on fumes. And I took that as permission to look away, to stay out later, to spend more nights with Hale. Even then, even with Hale, seeing Cycla like that got to me. That's the part people won't understand. I still wanted her. Not the way I wanted Hale, not anymore, but I'd look at my wife and still see the woman I had once wanted so badly it hurt. Hale finally tried to force me to choose. We were in the room she rented outside town. She'd told everyone she had a workshop, some excuse like that, sitting on the bed with takeout cartons between us. She looked tired, worn down in a quiet way, like someone who's been waiting too long for a man who keeps going home to someone else. "I can't keep being the place you hide," she said, and all I could think about was burying my face in her thick golden hair, disappearing there, like that old Guns N' Roses song. I lifted her, her pretty bare feet tucked under her, my sweatshirt hanging off of her naked shoulder, her face open, hurt, still gentle. "So?" I asked. "So either you leave," she said, "or you stop coming." I swallowed, feeling something in my chest tighten, and said, "I don't know how to do either." She looked at me for a moment, like she was about to say something, and then changed her mind and instead leaned in, a little uncertain, and kissed me softly, her hand resting on my arm as if she wasn't sure I'd still be there. That same night, Scylla asked if I'd come with her to a cabin near a reservoir in the mountains. 2 nights, no work, no excuses, just us. It caught me off guard, of course, but I should have realized she knew more than she let on. The owner of the cabin told us not to go far out on the ice. "Looks solid till it doesn't," he said. The next morning, while Cycla was in the bathroom, Hale texted me, "If you mean it, I'll wait tonight." Cycla came out and saw my face. She didn't ask to see the phone. She didn't need to. "Who is she?" she asked. I lied. Badly. She stared at me for a long second, then said very quietly, "Don't do this to me." She put on her coat and walked out toward the reservoir. I followed her. The air burned my throat. The snow squeaked under my boots. She looked so thin in that dark coat. So beautiful. So breakable. She stopped near the shore and turned to me. "Who is she?" she asked. I couldn't answer. That was answer enough. She nodded once and turned away from me and kept walking, quickly. I saw the darker patch ahead. I knew what it meant. I remember that clearly. I knew. Sila, I called. Come back. I wasn't sure she heard me. She kept going. I pressed my lips tight. Then the ice cracked. The sound was sharp and wrong. She dropped hard, one leg through, then both, and suddenly she was in black water up to her chest, clawing at the edge. Her face when she looked back at me. Jesus. I dream that face every night. It is my eternal punishment. Part of it. I ran. I did run. But for some awful reason, it wasn't right away. There was 1 second, maybe less. One small, filthy second when I thought, if she dies, I won't have to choose. Then I moved. I got down on the ice, reached for her, felt it break under me too, felt cold water hit my hands like knives. She grabbed my wrist once. I can still feel her nails. Then I jerked back to keep from going in myself, and that tiny backward move was enough. By the time I lunged forward again, she was gone. Afterward, there were sirens, people, a blanket around my shoulders. Someone said her name. Someone said mine. I don't remember much else. I drove straight to Hale. I needed her. That's the ugliest truth after the ice. My wife had just died, and I still drove to the woman I was going to leave her for. Her door was unlocked. That felt wrong right away, but I still pushed it open. The room was too bare. No clothes, no books, no bag on the floor. Not messy, emptied. I took a few steps in, and I saw it. Her sink. A badge. Familiar shape before the name even hit me. Sila's name. Under it, 3 small glass vials in a case. And beside them, a sheet of paper. It wasn't addressed to anyone, but I knew it was meant for me. I don't remember the note word for word. Everything started to blur, like I might pass out. But I remember what it meant. It was something she couldn't say to me, maybe something I was never meant to read at all. She'd used that experimental drug to change herself, to become softer, warmer, someone I could love. Hale was Sila. Sila was Hale. Was Hale. I think I lost it a little more then. You know that feeling when everything goes quiet and far away, like you've slipped just outside yourself and can't quite get back in. I remember gripping the sink, trying to steady myself, trying to make it make sense. I told myself Hale and Sila were the same woman, tried to hold that thought in place, but it wouldn't stay. It kept slipping, like my mind just wouldn't let those 2 women settle into the same person. At the end of the note, she wrote that she saw it clearly. I didn't love her, I loved the drug and what it turned her into, and that knowing it broke her, but she still couldn't stop. She was addicted to being the only version of herself I ever chose. I see it now. She was right. There's a hollow in me that even true love can't survive. I get to work, and my coworker is already there waiting for me. We work the night shift at a hydroelectric dam. We're here to make sure everything runs smoothly throughout the night. Day crew didn't have any issues today. Should be an easy night, my coworker, Kink, says. Hell yeah, I reply. I sure hope so. These nights suck. I'm so tired all the time. I walk into our little kitchen and start putting my food in the fridge when I get a text. I pull my phone out. It's from Kink. What? Why would he text me when he's right here? I almost ask him, but I read the message, and it makes me freeze. Sorry, man. Running late. I'll be there in 5 minutes. My mind starts racing, trying to come up with a logical explanation. Maybe when he sent the text, he had bad service, and it just now went through. That doesn't make sense. He got here before me. He got here early. I walk out of the kitchen and look around. I can't see him anywhere. Did I imagine him being here? Come to think of it, did I even see his truck in the parking lot? No, that's crazy. I talked to him. He told me about day shift. He's probably just messing with me. Maybe he's got some prank planned. I look over at the monitors that show the camera feeds. One of them shows the main gate. There's his truck, pulling up. Man, he's really committed to this prank. I start thinking of a way I can turn this around on him. Hey, Kink says. Jesus Christ. I yell, clutching my chest as my heart starts racing. My whole body tenses up. There's no way he could have gotten here that fast. I'm absolutely terrified. Whatever this is, it's gonna kill me. I just know it. All I can do is stand there and stare at him, too scared to move. Sorry, man. I didn't mean to scare you, he says. Hey, I'm gonna go walk around and check on the turbine gallery. If you need me, give me a call. With that, he turns around and leaves through the door that leads into the plant. I stand there, still in shock, wondering if I'm losing my mind, when the door on the other side of the room opens. Kink walks in from the parking lot, the same one that just left through the other door. I just stand there, not saying a word. Fear takes over again, locking up every muscle. I can't move, and for the second time tonight, I feel like I'm about to die. Hey man, sorry traffic was terrible today, he says as he walks in. I'll go ahead and do the first set of rounds. Then he walks through the same door as the other one. Am I actually going crazy? I know I haven't been sleeping well, but it's not that bad. My thoughts are interrupted by my phone buzzing. I'm getting a call. I quickly pull my phone out, half expecting it to be another kink. I let out a sigh of relief. It's my boss. Hello, I say. Hey, I know you're probably wondering where Kink is. I'm just calling to let you know he was found dead in his apartment today. There's a long pause. I can't speak. If Kink is dead, who did I see? And who did I see twice? Were both of them fake? What the hell is going on? I know this must be tough. If you need anything or want to talk to someone, let us know and we can help, he continues. I won't bother you anymore. Have a great shift. The call ends. I stand there completely frozen. Am I losing my mind? I saw two versions of my now dead coworker. That's not normal. That's not possible. I scan the camera feeds, looking for any sign of one of the kinks walking around. Nothing. All empty. I check the security badge monitor. It shows when people use their badges to open doors. I calm down a little. There's no record of anyone badging in. Maybe I am losing my mind. But honestly, that feels better than something pretending to be him. I decide to try and focus on work when something catches my eye. Kink's name pops up. Twice. It shows he badged in at both doors leading into this room, at the exact same time. Those doors are on opposite sides of the room. Absolute dread fills my body as I hear both doors open at the same time. Elena's ability to escort the souls of the recently dead to where they needed to go kicked in as she hit puberty, which, coincidentally or not, happened around the time her father died. Elena was actually with him when it happened. One minute, Dad was parking the car, then telling her to run ahead. He's feeling a bit off. He'll catch up in a second. The next, he tumbled out of the vehicle and spilled onto the pavement of a quiet suburban strip mall, clutching his heart. And then the next minute, Elena was holding his hand, walking with him in a wide gray wasteland, walking towards a still lake. They both stayed quiet. There didn't seem to be much to say. She watched him get into the boat and waved goodbye. He nervously twitched his arm in response. The ancients never lied, we just stopped listening. Elena returned home as the boat drifted out of sight. Dad's body was motionless on the pavement. They had just returned from a basketball game. Elena remembered how chilly the winds were against her bare legs. She saw Mom run out, her mouth twisted open. She could hear her crying out. Dad was just the first. Fortunately, Elena was only the psychopomp for those who died in her vicinity, but even so, she seemed to be quite busy. Grandmother, Dad's mother, didn't outlive her son for very long. Elena still remembers the walk towards the lake with her, holding her hand, which was now young, smooth-skinned, and strong, her eyes glowing with happiness in the gray light. Elena understood that Grandmother was happy to see her son, and she wasn't confused and bewildered like poor Dad had been, but that made Elena feel sad too. It didn't feel right to be so happy to be dead, but who was she to say so? Grandmother almost ran to the boat, which was waiting for her, barely remembering to look back at Elena, who felt quite left out, standing on the shore by herself. After that, it was Alice. Elena had had a crush on Alice, like most of the other kids on the block. Alice had long golden red hair and very sparkly eyes, and she was very friendly too. Not stuck up or too good to talk to her, like most popular and pretty girls were. They saw each other all the time, and Elena wasn't sure if they were friends or not, but she knew if someone asked Alice, she would say they were friends, but then Alice would say she was friends with everyone, and she'd be right. Anyway, it was a hit and run. She was lying all twisted up and bloody on the pavement right outside Elena's house, but it wasn't like when her dad had died. It was a million times worse. Elena held Alice's hand firmly because Alice wanted to get away. She wanted to walk away from the gray wasteland, right back into her home, but of course she couldn't. Then she realized she couldn't, and she opened her mouth and screamed, howled and screamed into the gray winds, her pretty face already crushed from the accident, distorting even more. And Elena held her hand and waited for the moment to pass, for Alice to get into the boat and leave. The moment passed, Alice stopped howling into the grayness, hugged Elena, and got into the boat. Her hair still looked golden red, even in the gray dimness, and Elena could see it for a very long time. After she stopped seeing it, she returned home, where there was no Alice to try and hang around. Years passed. Elena kept doing what she had to do. Friends, family, passers-by, neighbors. Prom night happened, and the inevitable car crash with the silly drunk kid at the wheel, wrapping the car around a telephone pole and getting himself and his 3 passengers all killed. The girls' beautiful, shiny dresses were all splattered with blood. They didn't all die at once. Elena took them across the gray wasteland, 2 by 2. Nicole, who was in Spanish and math with her in school, and the other guy who was new to town, she didn't know his name, holding their hands firmly. Then she came back for the other 2. Nicole called out for her mom as Elena walked away, and Elena thought she was probably confused by the crash, or maybe not. The other girl, Clara, lashed out at her prom date, the drunk driver shrieking at him for killing them and trying to scratch him up with her gorgeous, shiny, hard-lacquered nails. She had sparkling gemstones in her nails, and Elena thought it must have hurt when she dragged them across the drunk boy's face. But of course it didn't. He was quite dead by then, and Clara saw she couldn't hurt him, and it was useless, so she stopped trying. Elena held her hand and felt the hard, scratchy, pointed nails dig into her palms, but they left no mark, because Clara, by then, was quite dead too. The boat waited to take all 4 of them, Clara, Nicole, and their dates. Elena waved goodbye to them, but they didn't take any notice. One time, a few years later, she was in another neighborhood, not her own, and something went wrong. People were angry, upset, shouting. Elena was trying to get away and get home. She hadn't meant to be there. She couldn't leave her mom alone for long, but then police arrived. Elena was confused. There was a mass of people shoving and pushing. She was just trying to get out. Then there were shots. Someone fell. Blood people were screaming, and then she was walking in the familiar gray with a stranger, half their face blown off. She sighed. She didn't need to hold his hand too tightly, even though the stranger had small children and family and hadn't gone out expecting to die. The stranger was very kind to her, which was wrong, she knew, but it was what it was, and he even thanked Elena, which was completely unnecessary, because it wasn't like Elena had any choice in the matter. After he got into the boat, he waved and smiled at Elena, and Elena smiled back. Now Elena is old. She spends time in a nursing home, and of course she is as busy as ever. She hasn't become used to it. How could she be? But she does wonder, who will take her when her time, not too long now, comes? Who will hold her hand in the dim grayness and guide her towards the lake? She looks at her friends, their gentle, fallen, kind, confused faces, at the aides and nurses, so bright and bustling, so tired and annoyed, and wonders. She hopes it won't be Arkla, complaining Arkla, they call her, and it had better not be Eloisa who steals from them. Of that they are all sure. Also, she is not particularly gentle or kind. No, she would be a terrible psychopomp. Elena hopes she will have the pleasure of escorting Eloisa herself, although that is unlikely since she's only 22. Soon, Elena will find out. The monuments of life have crept long enough on my back. I have moved mountains across time, built everything by my own hand, created life that no longer believes in me. All those smiles, all those tears, every moment shared would be nothing without me. Now the world I built begins to cave. The stars are gone, nothing left to guide them through the dark. They'll drift into the black void. Without me, there is no light, no fire to control, no protection from what waits in the abyss. I need sleep. I can't hear them anymore. I can't see them anymore. What happens to a god who can no longer sleep? The cobbled street in front of me stretches out to a small stone archway. There's a sign fixed to the masonry, warning passers-by to keep their distance. It's been said that the sign has been around for hundreds of years. Some claim it is as old as the city itself. With shaking legs, I set foot onto the path. The closer I get to the chasm running underneath the archway, the louder its voice becomes. Beckoning me, luring me in, it's almost undeniable now. With a heart that thuds in my ears, I take hold of the stone balustrade in front of me. I hope Mother will forgive me. Are you lonely, little girl? The voice seems to come from within. A chill runs through my body. Why do I keep hearing you? I sigh, running my hands through my hair. Despite the moon shining bright against the cloudless sky, the abyss underneath my feet remains pitch black. I can't even see myself reflected in it. I'm not sure I'd recognize her anyway. You don't have to be lonely, little girl. Say. A tear slips from my eyes. That's my father's voice. Papa? My voice is so small, the wind can't carry it. From the thick black void, a mantle rises toward the surface. It's red, velvet, and I can instantly make it out. The memory of its soft texture makes me stagger back. Won't you come along, little girl? His voice is drifting away. My feet bring me closer to the edge. Won't you come along, my girl? His voice is slipping out of reach. As I climb up the stone balustrade in front of me, I catch sight of the people at the bottom of the wall. Their bodies have already joined him. Let me come too, my thoughts echo desperately. I want to come too, I'll come too. Just wait. My feet balance on the cold stone. Aras! A voice calls me from the distance. I turn around. It's too late. Something tugs my leg. I gripped Maya's hand while our gracious hostess went to get her little farewell gift for us. The visit with Nala had gone well, but I desperately wanted to get out of there and be on our way to the harbor. Maya smiled nervously at me. I knew she was thinking the same. Meeting your ex in the aftermath of a breakup is never easy, especially with your new girlfriend at your side. But Nala had been so sweetly persistent about having Maya and me visit her, and she had taken our breakup so well, much better than I had thought, and there was no doubt I felt guilty about it. I had fallen in love with Maya the moment I laid my eyes on her, and I knew the right thing to do was to break up with Nala so I could be with the love of my life, but still, it had been rough, and I felt grateful to Nala for behaving much better than I would have thought possible. Nala came back into the living room, holding something sparkly in her hands. This is for you two. Oh goodness, you make a lovely couple. Honestly, Liam, she looked at me intensely, her dark eyes glowing with sincerity. Believe me when I say I am happy for you. I mumbled something, cringing so badly inside, I felt my teeth would shatter, and clumsily took the gift, a crystal vase. Nala was still talking. I just thought of you. The moment I picked this up, I knew I had to give it to you. I appreciate it so much that you made time to visit. Maya stood up. Thank you, Nala. The vase is lovely. We must be on our way. Oh, of course. You have a boat to catch. Off you go, lovebirds. Nala giggled, and Maya and I squirmed. In the car, we didn't say much. Nala has a rather overpowering presence, and it is possible I had downplayed her vitality and force to Maya. It was Maya who broke our silence as we approached the coast. It was a nice gesture, and I understand it makes sense she would want to meet me and get closure. I parked, turned to Maya, and cupped her lovely face. Listen to me. No more talk of Nala, okay? That part of my life is over, done, and dusted. It's you and me. No Nala. Get it? Maya nodded, smiling. We shared a deep kiss, a promise of delights to come, and headed toward the ferry terminal. Every mile between us and Nala made my heart feel lighter. and knowing that soon we would be hundreds of miles away brought a sense of joy that I had not felt for a very, very long time. Which was odd, given how perfectly and blamelessly Nala had always behaved towards me. Everything went without a hitch at the terminal. Before we knew it, we were out on the open sea. I hadn't been on a ferry for a while, and I was excited, and yet also scared. I had never been scared of the ocean before. I just put it down to nerves, as our departure had been exceptionally smooth. The boat was cruising steadily across the calm waves with only the vast blue horizon around us, and we were messing about with our phones, teasing each other in that silly way lovers do when the first jolt happened. At the same time, the captain mumbled over the crackly loudspeaker to return to our seats and fasten our seatbelts. We held hands and smiled at each other. I knew, of course, that heavy swells are just the boat hitting little potholes in the water, nothing to be worried about. So when the next sharp jolt threw me against the sides of my seat, I continued smiling, although my muscles were stiffening with dread. The shaking sharpened. Silence descended over the passengers. It felt as if the boat were being hammered. Children started crying, and then the vessel seemed to drop into a deep trough. A collective shriek went up as the loudspeaker cackled incomprehensibly. I gripped Maya's hand so hard that later she discovered 3 fractures in her finger bones. She cried out in agony and fear. The boat shuddered again, and a terrible whirring noise filled the darkened cabin. I saw Nala's glowing dark eyes, her deep smile, a little farewell gift. Heard the clacking of her heels as she walked towards me, something sparkling in her hands. You 2 lovebirds have a boat to catch. The vessel swooped and seemed to fall again, and everyone shrieked. I bent frantically, grappling at my hand luggage, which I had stored beneath the chair in front of me. I scrabbled in my bag and found it where I had shoved it down, the crystal vase. It glittered harshly in the flickering darkness, and something smoky seemed to move inside it. Without thinking why, I smashed it against the metal railing. Pain shot through my hand. Maya was crying now, hiccuping with fear and sobs. The vase was undamaged. My hand bleeding profusely, I put it on the floor and with all my strength stamped on it. I heard or felt the crack. I removed my foot. For a terrible moment, I thought the vase was still whole, but it slowly fell apart in 3 jagged pieces. I glimpsed a smokiness linger and then dissipate. Blood from my hand dripped on the glittering pieces. The juddering of the boat stopped. Normal lights flicked back on. The sound of crying lowered into whimpers, but the dreadful screams of primal fear died down. The loudspeakers crackled back into life. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Apologies. The heavy swells have passed. Maya looked at the broken vase and back at me, her eyes still stretched wide, but now full of questions. I raised my foot again and brought it down on the crystal shards, slowly but firmly grinding them into smaller pieces. The wood floor pressed cold against my cheek. My nostrils were blocked, and specks of dirt flew from my mouth when I coughed. My head throbbed. Pushing myself upright caused sudden dizziness, and nausea rose from my stomach. What the hell happened last night? I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember coming out here, couldn't remember lying down. The last clear thing was marking papers, red pen, essays stacked on the kitchen table. I stumbled across the allotment, grass damp under my bare feet. I tried the shed door. Relief as the handy turned. Inside, a half-empty bottle of vodka and a red pen sat on the workbench, and the battery-powered clock read 8047. 8047. I was late. I was so late. My body switched to autopilot. Upstairs, shower, clothes, bag by the door. Keys in the bowl. Where are my keys? I fumbled the items on the table where the key bowl sat, searching for my keys. Only the spare shed key found my fingers. I'll have to just walk. As I lifted my head, I glimpsed myself in the hallway mirror. I had been in such a rush to get ready and out the door that I hadn't truly looked at myself. My face was hollow with dark circles carved beneath my eyes, and on my cheekbone, a bruise. I touched it. Still tender, but I couldn't remember hitting my face on anything hard enough to cause a bruise like that. No time. I shook my head. No time. The walk to the university was a complete blur. By the time I got through the main gates, the lecture had already started. My footsteps echoed in the empty corridors as I hurried to my classroom, pausing just outside the door. Through the narrow glass window, I could see the students at their desks, heads bent over and pencils writing. I could see someone at the whiteboard. I pushed the door open, and a woman at the front of the room turned to look at me. The woman was Mech, actually me. Same face, except hers wasn't hollow or bruised. Hers looked rested, healthy, and glowing, like she'd lived nothing but a happy and peaceful life. The students hadn't noticed me yet, but the woman at the whiteboard, the other me, had frozen mid-sentence, marker still raised. When our eyes met, her expression shifted. Surprise, fear, and then something else. Something I couldn't quite read. She lowered the marker slowly, glanced at the class, and mouthed the single word, go. Then another, hey, hes, a, hem. Too stunned to do anything else, I did what she said. I went home. And just like my journey to the university only a short time earlier, I have zero recollection of walking home. I tried to make sense of what seemed to be an impossibility. I feel like I should have been confused, terrified even. But I wasn't. Something deep within me felt acceptance? Before I knew it, I was sitting at my kitchen table. I sat there for what felt like a long time. Piece by piece, memories rose from my subconscious, surfacing like corpses from the depths of a cold, dark ocean. 2 a.m. The laptop screen lighting a dark room. Essays everywhere, red pen in my hand, corrections scattered across the pages. How long had I been marking? Hours, days. It felt like weeks. My body, my mind, spent. Drained of whatever had been keeping me going. Another one. Cooking in the dark. Then another. Cleaning on my knees and crying. In each and every one, an overwhelming and all-encompassing feeling of pure exhaustion. And then a flash of something. A conversation. I was talking to someone. I was talking to myself. No, not talking to myself, talking to me. Actually talking. 2 voices. 2 faces. Mine and mine. How is this possible? The memory slipped away as quickly as it came. Too quickly to make any sense of it. A car door slammed from outside, startling me back to the present. I rose slowly, my legs reluctant to cooperate. The hallway stretched before me with the front door at the end, opaque glass showing a shape moving closer. I walked toward it. Halfway there, I heard the voice. My voice. She was on the phone, speaking quietly but clearly enough to hear through the door. No, I know. But I've never seen one come back before. I don't know how. She should be, yes. Yes, I understand. I stopped. My hand hovered over the door handle. Memories flooded back. The shed, the cold floor, the bruise on my cheek. I remembered now, and not just the night before, but the nights before that, the weeks, the months, the unbearable exhaustion, the work that never ended, the feeling of having nothing left to give. I remembered the solution. A key entered the lock, turned. The door opened. I looked at the woman who stood before me, the woman who wore my face, the woman who was the perfect replica of me at my best, and I felt sadness. Not for what was to come, but for what had come before now, for what my life had been. More than that, though, and more than anything, I felt relief. One side of her lip lifted as she narrowed her eyes at me. You're supposed to be dead. This happened with one of my ex-roommates. I used to share a PG room with him. He was older than me, so I called him Baya. I had just moved in, and a few months had passed. One day, a school friend came to the city and needed a place to stay for a night. I told him he could stay with me since Baya had gone to his hometown and his bed was empty. My friend slept on my bed, and I took Baya's. That night, I noticed something strange. Beside his pillow were a Bhagavad Gita and a Christian cross pendant. It felt odd. We already had a small mandir set up on the study table, where we kept all our puja items. Also, I didn't feel comfortable resting my head next to a holy book while sleeping, so I carefully moved both the Bhagavad Gita and the pendant to the center table. A couple of weeks later, Baya returned. In the meantime, I had placed those items near the mandir. That evening, as usual, we went out for dinner together. After coming back, we lay down on our beds, casually chatting. Suddenly, Baya paused. "Where's the Bhagavad Gita?" he asked. I told him I had kept it near the mandir. Without saying much, he got up, brought it back, and placed both the Bhagavad Gita and the cross pendant beside his pillow again. Then we continued talking and eventually went to sleep. The next day, after dinner, my curiosity got the better of me. "Why do you keep it beside your pillow instead of the mandir?" I asked. He went quiet for a moment. Then he told me the story. A bit of background: I was in my first year, and he was in his final year. He used to stay in his college dormitory before shifting to this apartment complex about 5 months before I moved in. This incident happened during his second year. It was around Diwali. Most students had gone back home for the holidays, and the dormitory was nearly empty. He stayed on the second floor. The layout of the dormitory was simple: a long corridor with rooms lined up on one side. The staircase was at one end, and his room was at the extreme opposite end. That night, on the entire second floor, only 2 rooms were occupied. One was his, at the far end, and the other belonged to a single guy, right next to the staircase. Everything in between was completely empty. It was late at night. He was late at night. He was lying on his bed, finishing some pending assignments, slowly drifting into sleep. His bed faced the main door, so even while lying down, he could see it clearly. Next to his bed was his study table, then his roommate's table, and then the other bed. The room also had an attached washroom. They had a habit of leaving the washroom light on. So that night, the room was dark, except for a faint glow leaking out from the bottom gap of the washroom door. The corridor lights outside were also on, and a thin strip of light seeped in through the gap under the main door. Half asleep, he was staring blankly at the door. That's when he noticed it. The light from the corridor flickered, as if something had passed by, a shadow. Just for a moment, he thought maybe someone walked past the door, but he didn't think much of it. The door was locked anyway. He drifted deeper into sleep. And then, suddenly, he felt it, a crushing weight on his chest, as if something heavy was sitting on him. He tried to breathe, but his chest wouldn't rise properly. He tried to move, but his body wouldn't respond. His eyes snapped open. And what he saw next froze him completely. A woman, sitting on his chest. Her hair was loose, covering most of her face. He tried to scream, but nothing came out. He tried to move, but his body refused. He was completely paralyzed. The weight, the silence, the presence, it all felt terrifyingly real. He later realized he was experiencing sleep paralysis. But in that moment, it didn't feel like a condition. It felt like something was actually there. With whatever strength he had left, he shut his eyes tightly and began thinking of Hanumanji over and over again, summoning every bit of will he had. And suddenly, he snapped out of it. He could move again. He sat up immediately, gasping for breath. The room was normal, empty, silent, but something was off. The main door was half open. He panicked. He quickly grabbed his phone, turned on the room lights, and started playing the Hanuman Chalisa. With his other phone, he called the guy staying near the staircase and asked him to come immediately. Within 5 minutes, the guy arrived. They didn't stay in that room after that. Both of them went back to the other guy's room and spent the rest of the night there. The next day, Baya called his mother and told her everything. She consulted their family pandit. The pandit advised him to keep the Bhagavad Gita beside his pillow while sleeping. And that other guy, the one who came to help, was a Christian. He gave Baya his cross pendant, telling him it would help him feel safer. Since that night, Baya never slept without keeping both the Bhagavad Gita and the cross pendant beside his pillow. Every Christmas Eve, the family gathers together to have dinner. I hate this time of year when being happy and warm-hearted is almost compulsory. The family that I barely visit, the food that I despise most, the bland music, Christmas this, Christmas that, and the joyful faces with the perfectly fake smiles, the omnipresent flickering lights, the atrocious decorations everywhere. I reckon that when I was a kid, I loved most of it and enjoyed all these family celebrations. But people grew old. Many went away to study or work, and others, simply put, were no longer amongst us. As every year for the last decade, I am the first to arrive at my parents' home. Note that I was raised in this very house, but even so, I do not feel any attachment to the place. I keep some fond memories of my childhood, but my parents do not take part in them. As always, my father looks already tipsy, showing off his worst Christmas sweater, while my mother is still in the kitchen, complaining about the roasted turkey, the quality of the potatoes, or the price of the shrimp and whatnot. Soon my brother and sister will come along with their own large families, insufferable noisy kids, and annoying partners. Even after her divorce, my sister brings every year her ex along with her current fling, Henko or Rekka, I cannot remember, ready to enact the then lovers now best friends comedy. It is tiring, but I come every year anyway. I drink my way to the dinner so that I can pretend to be rude, moody, or quiet, whatever suits me best. I feign attention when my mother explains the health status of every known family member, friend, and neighbor. I try hard not to yawn when my siblings explain everything about their children, how they perform in school, the quality of the depositions of the babies, and any other piece of useless information that I have not asked for. We have not even reached the main course when the bell rings. Startled, my father wonders who it might be. My mother runs to the kitchen to prevent some inevitable cooking drama, while my siblings try to keep their children at bay, so I am the one who goes to the door. When I open the door, it is just my grandma standing there, with her best clothes, carrying a bag with some presents. I stand still, looking at her. She smiles at me, and with her warm voice greets me. Merry Christmas, Hojni. Long time no see. How is everything? I just flinch. Are you feeling okay, Hojni? You look a bit pale. I am fine, thank you. Let me come in then. It's getting cold outside. I do not answer. I do not move from the entrance. I do not move from the entrance. Is there any problem, dear Hojni? I stand still, just looking at her. She looks so full of life, so healthy, with her red cheeks and her smile, her sweet eyes, and without the cane that she used lately. Even a bit plump under her red dress. Is everyone home? She asks. Yes, I manage to answer. Even your great-grandchildren are here. Good, I didn't want to miss dinner. Sorry if I'm a bit late. Did your mother burn the turkey again? No, I think she managed not to incinerate it this time. But you have to go now. Why should I go, Hojin? I've just got here. You know that you shouldn't be here tonight. Why? You also know the answer to that, Nana. Come on, Hojin. Be sensible. It's a very long way to get here, and I've been looking forward the whole year to see you all. I know, but you shouldn't be here anyway. It's not fair. It's not easy for me to get here for Christmas. Yes, I know about that, but they won't understand it. Please go now, Nana. Well, I guess that you're right, after all. Give them all my love. I will. Don't worry about that. Have a safe return. Won't you hug your Nana before leaving? I was not expecting that one. Her body feels warm, even if she doesn't wear a coat in this harsh winter, and she smells of flowers. After a moment, my heart melts and I embrace her too. After a long minute, she steps back, takes one parcel from her bag, and gives it to me. Bye, Hojni. Take care of yourself. Goodbye, Nana, and Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas, she replies while she goes away, without turning her head. I keep looking at her until she disappears after a corner. With the small present in my hands, feeling the bite of the frozen wind and a lone tear running down my cheek, I close the door. While returning to the dining room, I pay attention to a framed picture hanging in the corridor. It is a photograph of my grandmother with the same red dress she was wearing. Her favorite dress. The same one she asked to be buried in. More than 10 years ago, time does really fly. When I return to the table, my mother, back from the kitchen, looks at me intently. Who was that, Honjan? Someone who was lost. On Christmas Eve? That's maybe the worst day to get lost, says my father. Never mind. I was able to give some directions, and they won't bother us again tonight. That's good, Honjan. You're a kind man, answers my mother. Is that a present? I look down at my hands, and the small package is still there. I won't be opening it. I guess it will join the other 9 unopened presents that I keep at home. My only Christmas present every year for a decade. I miss my Nana so badly. Christmas has never been the same without her.